All right, you guys, welcome to our Discover Essential Oils, Learn More. And tonight's class is class number 6. It is mood and emotional well-being. And so I think that as we are gathering here, I want you just to take a second and remember that all of our information here is being recorded. We can turn off the recording at the end if you guys want to share testimonials that you don't want to be shared. Also, if you'll tell us who invited you and where you're joining us from, we'd love to hear that. It's so much fun to be able to see people from across the United States who are joining us from all over. And so please put that in the chat for us. We do these classes every Tuesday night. There is a series of 8 classes that rotate over and over. But if you've seen one, don't think you've seen them all, because every time we share content or we have a different class, it's always different because the questions are different, the teachers might be different, and so there's so much information to learn. We're so excited that you guys are here. Now, if you are trying to earn one of our free recipe books, we'll have more information at the end of the class. But for right now, anytime that you join us live for a Zoom call, you can text the number 534-429-5392 and simply just text the word class and the topic, and it'll get you earning your free recipe book. You guys, the recipe book has almost 300 different recipes in it from our top leaders. They are tried and true recipes that you're probably not going to find other places. I also want to say, if you have any questions, or if you have something that you want to comment on, please put it in the chat, because we have people here who are highly skilled and educated with essential oils, and we'll be able to help answer those as we are going along. Okay, here is a slide of the classes that we have. And like I said, we're on class number 6. And so next week, we will be talking about our spa products and being able to create an atmosphere that you're going to fall in love with. If you have ever experienced the Aroma Touch or Symphony of the Cells, you'll know why this is in this class. And it is a class that you want to make sure that you attend, especially if you are somebody who loves getting a massage or just loves being able to take care of yourself next level. Okay, I want to introduce to you Diane Mattern. Diane is here with us tonight, and together we're going to tag team and go through this new class. It is really a great place for us to be able to share with you guys, some of the things, because we live in a time when so many people are struggling with their mental wellness. And so if we give you one thing tonight that helps make the journey easier for you, then we feel like we've done our job. I just want to go over a couple of statistics as we are getting started. Did you guys know that globally, suicide is the 4th leading cause of death among people from the age of 15 to 29? It has skyrocketed in the last few years, and I feel like it's our job to be able to bring awareness and then give ideas and things that can help people get through each day. There are 284 million people who suffer from anxiety disorders worldwide. Now, I want to also point out that that's what's reported. So if you're somebody, or somebody who struggles and they haven't told anybody, or maybe they're just secretly trying to deal with it and trying to make their best life possible, I mean, that's a lot of people. And if you are somebody who struggles with emotions and anxiety, or just, maybe you've dealt with grief or something, we are here to help to support you. Many of us have had our journey, and we want you to know that we have solutions. Also, substance use is responsible for over 11 million deaths annually. And this is only 1 in 5 deaths globally. So you guys, just the prescription medication and the sadness and all the things that go together in this is something that is an epidemic. And we, like I said, we are here to bring awareness and to bring solutions for living your very best life. And you guys, in some cases, it takes awareness, it takes dedication, it takes hard work, and we're here to support you on this. I'm going to just also talk to this chart before I hand this time over to Diane. Is this one, if you guys followed Dr. David R. Hawkins. He has a really great map of consciousness. Now you can Google search him, and he has multiple different ways that he is working with people. And so at this chart, what I want you to see is 15% of the people are actually living in the top half of this chart, which means, you know, courage, willingness, reason. They live in love and light and peace and joy and all that stuff. And 85% of the people are dealing in the bottom part, which the lowest vibration, like the very worst that you could feel, is shame. And I know that shame is something that just sneaks in and kind of grabs you by the ankles and tries to knock you over. One of the things that we're going to share with you today or tonight is different things that you can do. And one of them, you guys, is simply to crack open a bottle of essential oils, being able to take it and put it in your hands and inhale that aroma for, you know, 4 or 5 deep breaths or up to 30 seconds. And you'll be able to physically understand by the time we get through with this, how come that is important. We've got science that we're going to show you. We're going to discuss it, and then we're going to give you and walk you through what doTERRA has for support. Now, you'll also notice here that Melissa, which is one of the highest vibrating oils, it is referred to as the oil of light. And that is the one that when you're feeling, you know, different ways, and you have that really low, gosh, I don't even want to get out of bed, and I don't even care about getting out of bed, and I don't care if people care if I get out of bed, feelings, and it helps to raise that vibration. In some cases, it may be only one level, like up to the next one, or feeling grief or fear or feeling desperate. So we're going to walk you through some of the things that we're going to support you with. Okay, Diane.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to be here. This topic is near and dear to my heart. I am a avid doTERRA user, and I've been on this on this essential oil emotional journey for about 8 years now. And so sit back and enjoy. And those of you that put in the chat how you're feeling, if you have an oil nearby, keep it handy. And whenever you feel it during the class, get it on and breathe it in. And we're going to tell you why it is so effective to breathe those essential oils in. So did you know that just one single drop of essential oil affects 40 million trillion molecules? These chemical compounds affect every single cell in our body within minutes. They can help us physically, and they can help us emotionally, most importantly, in my book, at least for tonight's topic. They're like think of them as little small messengers, and they're going to go in and they're going to do what we need them to do. They're aromatic anchors, so they're great for helping us to hang on to those memories and go back to where we need to be, so we're in a really good space emotionally. Here's a neat quote. I love this quote. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty optimistic. And one of the things that I do, even when I'm under stress, is I try to take my thoughts to a positive place. And I think this quote says that. So let's talk about the science. Why does this work? So when we breathe in these essential oil molecules, they're taken in by the brain's olfactory center via the nostrils. So we breathe in essential oils, whether we do it by putting a couple drops in our hands or sticking it in a diffuser, wearing it on diffuser jewelry. I have a piece right on tonight, actually, coincidentally, and I can put a couple of drops on these little beads, and then throughout the day I can smell it and it can affect me. So what this does is it activates the central part of the brain called the amygdala. And that's where your memories and emotions are stored. And this is the only way that the amygdala responds. It responds to just scent. Spoken words, written words, they do not activate this part of the brain. It's only responsible for taking in and assimilating aroma. The limbic system is where we recall or release stored emotions and memories. And it can even remember memories that have been stored with us since childhood. So the emotions, memories, our hormones are housed there, and our autonomic influence happens in the limbic system.
One thing I want to bring up here, you guys, is have you ever had a smell trigger a memory from when you were little? Or maybe you were, maybe it's super exciting and you smell, your first time going to a movie and you really loved it and you smell that popcorn, and then all of a sudden you smell popcorn and you go back to that movie. Or for me, it's like just running through like a field of flowers when I was little. The first time I cracked open a bottle of helichrysum, I smelled it and I was like, holy cow, and it instantly took me to what is the memory, or what is that just triggered in my mind, and where was I? And it took me back to when I was a little girl riding horses, and that smell of the earth and the hay and all that stuff. And so this is scientific, that this is how this is working for us. And I'm sure as you really pay attention, you too will be able to say, gosh, if I smell baking bread, it takes me to my grandma's kitchen. And this is how cool this is, by being able to not only take those little messengers and change the memory or change the message that it's giving us. So if we take something that has been tragic or sad, and we smell a new smell, those little molecules, those messengers from essential oils can actually take a sad memory and it can rewire it and bring us into something happy. Whoops.
Oh, you're going backwards. Somebody put in the chat, Rose. Rose does it for me too. It reminds me of my grandmother's powder, that body, whatever it was that they put on. Yeah. All right. So here's I love this little visual. It's very, very simplified here, the rectangular box at the top. So we have essential oil stimulus. It the limbic system, which then creates a chemical response within our body, which then in turn gives us an emotional response, and a positive emotional response, never a negative one. And then we have a physical response to that as well. Okay, so the brain is pretty crazy. It takes in a lot, it deals with a lot. But when we're under stress, so we have these stressors that we deal with on a constant, and the causes vary. They're always different, but the responses are always the same. There's usually a chemical change within the body, there's autonomic responses within the body, and there's physiological changes. Okay, so I'm going to simplify those. We're talking sweating, the releasing of cortisol, those kinds of things. All those kinds of things will happen due to stresses in the body, or due to stress in our environment, wherever it's coming from. So the picture on the right is great. Again, another really simplified visual of what happens. We take in that smell through the nose, it goes to the olfactory bulb, and then it goes through these different pathways, and it gives us these wonderful positive memories, emotions, and it just helps us all to feel better when we're taking this all in.
I love this chart because, there are some times when I feel like if you have had a lot of stress or a lot of life happening for you, in some cases, it might feel overwhelming. And what happens with our bodies and what we do is we adjust to it. So if you live in a state of high stress activities, your body literally is going, okay, wait, this feels familiar. It feels normal. However, it's really not familiar for your body and your emotions and all those things. And you start to hold things in different places, and there is an effect. And so I think one of the slides that we missed at the very beginning was, what is the cause, or what is the effect in our bodies when we hold on to anger, when we hold on to hate? Eventually it starts to affect our body and our organs, and we start to have dis-ease in those areas. So really the best thing that we can learn to do is to find peace and quiet and calm, and let that be the new normal instead of the constant place of chaos.
All right, so let's talk about the power of aroma. We've given you a little bit of the science, okay? Think about whenever like if I open up a pickle jar, for instance, or I smell a lemon, right away I start to pucker. I can already almost taste it. So aroma is really, really powerful. You're in your house and you smell something burning. You're like, you automatically have a response to that. So all of this is really, really powerful, this power of aroma. And essential oils, I would say, compound it. I mean, they just make us feel so much better. So let's talk about anosmia. And I know I probably butchered the way you say that. But that is, for those of you that don't know, that's when you don't have a sense of smell. You can't smell anything. People always ask, well, I don't smell anything. Are these essential oils going to work? Of course they're going to work. If you're in a house and your natural gas is leaking, is it going to have an effect on you? Absolutely. Well, the same is true of essential oils. Even if you can't smell it, it's going to have an effect on you. And again, it's going to have that positive effect.
What's cool is what Diane was talking about is when it goes into your senses, it has two different pathways that it can choose, fight or flight, or I'm going to be okay. And so then our bodies naturally react to whichever pathway it took. And so whether it is, you sliced a lemon and your mouth is starting to water and your body automatically knows what to do, or if it's you can't smell it at all, but your body will tell you, okay, it's time to fight or flight. And you'll get curious. It's like, wait, something's off. Have you ever been in a situation when you've gone, okay, wait, something like it, and you smell, right? And it's like, okay, this is off. I need to pay attention. And what else is going to come up?
So why are we going to diffuse? Because it unlocks the amygdala, and our sense of smell is 10,000 times more sensitive than any other sense in our body. So smell can change, as we've said. Okay, if you don't get anything out of this, I mean, we're repeating here. It's going to change your mood, it's going to change your memories, and it's going to help relieve tension and stress in your body. It's the fastest way to affect your mood. The first thing I do when okay, so for those of you that don't know, I teach sixth grade and I'm around a lot of teachers and we're around a lot of stress all day long. And sometimes I'll run into someone and I can tell that they're needing an adjustment. And I'm not a chiropractor, I'm not talking about that. I'm like, come here, let me help you. And they know me and they'll come into my classroom and I'll just sit with them and I will give them essential oils to breathe in and to put on so that we can change how they're feeling so that they can show up as their best self, not just for the kids, but for themselves.
So because this is 10,000 times more sensitive than any of our other senses, that is why at the very beginning I said, if you want to change your thoughts, if you want to change your mood, if you want to change what's happening around you, the way you're feeling is anxious or, grieving or whatever, take any essential oil. And we're going to talk about which ones in just a second. Put it in the palm of your hands and take 4 or 5 deep breaths for at least 30 seconds or so, and you can retrain that memory and you can actually get a different effect. A really cool thing to keep in mind, you guys, is most people think, oh gosh, our senses, the only sense I have is to smell at my nose. Well, I was attending a class today and they talked about the heart and how the heart is also got sensors out there and it is very sensitive to smell. And so that is why our emotions, anytime we're feeling something, it's like, okay, smell it and then put it right over your heart so that you can get a very quick response and you can change the direction of those emotions.
That's interesting because I just do that instinctively. I tell them to breathe it in and put it over their heart. And yeah. All right, so let's talk about some things that doTERRA has that are game changers in my book. So this is the adaptive system. It came out several years ago, and this system is by far, I call it our mental health system, our system. And so it's going to help with two different systems. It's going to help you systemically. So by taking the one on the right, which are the capsules, this is going to help with stress relief. It's going to keep us calmer. It's got some omegas in it that's going to help with our brain health. And then the one on the left is going to help with stress relief also. It's going to help us be, it's going to uplift our mood, and it's going to soothe us emotionally. And so the two on the left, you're going to use those two topically, and the one on the right, you're going to use internally.
You guys, we also want to mention, and we forgot, it's like, as you are seeing this presentation, feel free to take screenshots of it. You'll also find the recording of this in Good Vibes. So if you missed something and you want to go back and do screenshots or learn more, go back and you can watch that replay. Or you can also ask the person who invited you here for a copy of the replay, and we'll have that link for you.
All right, so here's just another, a little bit more of a breakdown of it. So we've got on the outside are the two that you would apply topically, the adaptive touch and the adaptive oil. And then in the middle, we have the supplements. Now, I take the supplements every single day, in particular in the afternoon, because that's when I have my most challenging class is in the afternoon. So I take an adaptive or two with my lunchtime supplements. And then the adaptive oil, I love to diffuse that in my classroom. And I also love to put it on, like, especially if I'm going into, let's say, a big city. I mean, I live in a little small town, so driving in a big city creates a little anxiety for me. So especially if I'm going in and I know it's going to be 5 o'clock traffic or a high traffic time, I will put some adaptive oil on it, breathe it in, and it just helps to calm and soothe me so that I'm able to adapt to whatever's going on. And you guys can read. I'm not going to read all the bullet points on this. And like Hayley said, feel free to take screenshots.
One of the things I love about the oil, you guys, is I can put it in my hands and I can breathe it in, or I can also take that touch and wear it like a perfume. So if I know that I'm going into a day that's going to be all kinds of chaos and stuff, like Diane said, it's like I can go in prepared before I get hit with all the stuff, and I'm more calm and I just show up and I react differently.
All right, so then here's a little bit more of a breakdown of the capsules. And again, it's a different formula. Don't put the essential oil, don't take the essential oil internally. One thing I did want to mention about the essential oil, it's one of my favorites to put in the bath as well with some Epsom salts, just to relax at the end of a day. All right, how many of you have ever heard of forest bathing? If you've heard of it, put it in the chat. Tell us what you've heard about it. If you've never heard about it, tell us if you love being in the forest. I love being out in the mountains. I love being by a stream. That's one of my happy places. That's one of the things my husband and I do together that we absolutely love. But this is an essential oil blend that doTERRA came out with a couple years, or this past September at convention, and it's called Shinrin Yoku, and it's the oil for forest bathing. And forest bathing is a practice that was started in Japan to help people. People are in those high rises. I mean, they're surrounded by concrete. They're not in and around the forest. So they came up with this idea of forest bathing, and they found that it has all kinds of positive effects. I mean, you can read the bullet points. It'll lower your blood pressure. It helps with easing your stress. It'll improve your concentration and memory. Sometimes I just like walking. If the sun's out at school and I have a break or lunchtime, I'll just walk outside, even just walking outside. I mean, I'm not in a forest, but it kind of gives you that same thing of getting in the sun and getting that boost of vitamin D, and just helping our overall immune system by getting out in nature. And on the left-hand side, you can see the list of essential oils. We have everything from uplifting to grounding to, I know Hayley can jump in with this one. It covers everything. There's just a plethora of essential oils in there that kind of hit all the stuff, all the good stuff.
So one of the things that I did when this oil first came out is because one of my very happiest places on earth is in our canyon, which is super close to us. And so what I did is I wanted to anchor that feeling and that memory and that experience with the essential oil. So I went up into our canyon, I took the oil out, and of course I had the roller all over me, and I took oil drops. And as I was sitting in, like, on the earth, watching the river and all the different things and the sun and the clouds, I took that and I just inhaled and I smelled. And the reason that I did that, you guys, is because then when I open up the bottle of Shinrin Yoku, guess what it does? It triggers that memory of being up in that space, and it takes me exactly where I was in peace and calmness. So if I'm having a hectic day, I'll go into the bathroom, or I'll say, okay, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and I'll put the oils on and I'll go for a walk, and I go out into nature and I get that sunshine like Diane was talking about. So you can create your own place of forest bathing or that experience. And then when I smell that smell, it takes me right back to it. Isn't it cool? Like, I love everything about this. It's so exciting.
All right, so now let's talk a little bit more about moods and emotions. So you can see the wheel there. We've got a lot of, we don't have anything positive on that wheel. It's all negative. But we have solutions that are going to help us combat all of these and to help us balance everything out. This is probably my favorite line that doTERRA has. This is the emotional aromatherapy collection. And they were brilliant, in my opinion, in how they named them, because you don't have to think about it. I remember when I first started using essential oils, and I would think, okay, what do I use and where do I put it and what is it for? This is a no-brainer. It's right there. If you need some motivation, you get motivate out. If you need to cheer up, you get cheer out. You guys get it. Okay. We've got passion, forgive, console, and peace. I start my day every single day with motivate and cheer. These essential oils come in a 5 ml bottle. They pack a powerful punch. Whenever you buy essential oils and they come in a small bottle, they're much more powerful, and you need even less. So, but these ones also come in a roll-on, so, and a touch. So I keep motivate and cheer in my bathroom. So in the morning when I'm getting ready, one of the last things I do is I put motivate and cheer on, because I want to show up as my best self for my kids, even on the days I'm not feeling it. Peace sits on my bedside table, because sometimes at night I can't shut down my brain. And so I'll take it and I'll roll it across my forehead. And of course I'll breathe it in. And the others I just use as I need them. Console, I consider to be a hug in a bottle. We'll talk about that one a little bit more. You guys can, again, take screenshots of these, and you can look on there and see the best uses for them, for how you're feeling and how you want to change those feelings. All right, so let's take a look at this chart. We've got all the ones I just mentioned on the right-hand side. It gives you how it can change your mood. Like, it can help you feel more confident. Motivate it can help you with courage and belief, those kinds of things. And then it gives you the negative emotions as well. So if you're feeling that and you want to counteract that, then you get those essential oils on. So let's say that you don't have those essential oils. You can use the chart on the left, and you can then look at what you have in your stash, and you can say, okay, if I want to be uplifted, if I'm discouraged and gloomy and distressed, in other words, not happy, get those citrus oils out, because those citrus oils are happy oils. So you can use, there's charts out there that you can use to help you figure out, what can I pull? What can I use if I don't have the emotion oils? So here's cheer again, every single day, no matter what. And it's just happiness in a bottle, in my opinion. Forgive. This is really, really powerful. I love this essential oil because sometimes we need this essential oil for us. And I don't mean because we have to forgive someone. We might need to forgive ourselves, or we might just need it because we're dealing with anger. and things like that, or negativity or guilt. And if you remember, go back to that one of those very, very first slides. Guilt is one of the lowest vibration emotions that you can feel, and we don't want to feel that. This is a really, really powerful oil.
So when this blend first came out, doTERRA had done a study with an oncology hospital, and they found that the number one essential oil for emotions across the board for everyone was forgive. And like Diane said, it's because, whether we're forgiving a situation that has happened to us, maybe we're forgiving the way we showed up, maybe it's what happened to us, and we need to be able to, learn how to grow and go through a situation. I love, you guys, we're going to talk about bergamot in just a minute. It's becoming one of my favorite essential oils. But I think that if you really look at life as a general, we can all use a little forgive in one way or another. And I love also with this essential oil, when we have panic or when we're distressed, we stop to breathe and our chest might feel tight and a little bit, oh my gosh, what's happening? And maybe our breathing even like stops a little. Well, when you put this across your chest, it has essential oils that will help to support and being able to relax. So whether it is congestion or whether it's some kind of respiratory issue, or whether it's just, I need to take a deep breath and be able to forgive, this is such a powerhouse. So consider adding this to your next order.
All right, this is a hug in a bottle. This has also some very, very powerful oils. This is one of my favorite ones to put on anybody that's dealing with any sort of grief, any sort of feelings of sadness or loss of hope, things like that. It is console and forgive together are pretty powerful. All right. So here's some different options for you. Take a look at this. Okay, you've got in your left top corner, if you're feeling sad, impatient, uneasy, and you need calming and soothing and placating, you can go to Serenity. I'm not going to read all of them. You guys can look at this. It's pretty easy to figure out. But these are just some other options that we have. I know that each one of you has something in your arsenal that you can pull out to change your mood and your emotions whenever you need it.
So I'm going to speak to one of these oils specifically. I use Serenity every single day. Like it's either in my bath water, in my diffuser, in my roller. I start my day, I end my day, but Balance oil was my gateway oil into essential oils. I was living in a place where I was feeling completely overwhelmed all the time. I was triggered at the littlest things, like the big things in life weren't really affecting me. Like I could handle all the big stuff. It was the little tiny things like, the light being on or not flushing the toilet or whatever it was. I was triggered and I would go from, 0 to 1,000 in a second. And the first time I cracked open the bottle for Balance, I smelled it and it was like, I just felt this big, huge sigh of relief of, oh gosh, it's going to be okay. And from that day on for a year, I carried this essential oil in my pocket. Every time I felt myself starting to get a little, rise up, or it's like, okay, I'm getting a little bit irritated or something, I would say, okay, hold on just a second. And I would open up the bottle, I would smell it, I would drop it into my hands, and I would put it just instinctively right over my heart, like we've talked about. And I could feel myself just go, okay, now what? Like, okay, how can we go forward? You guys, these essential oils are so impactful and make such a huge difference. The only thing is you've got to get them out. You've got to use them. And really, if you don't have Balance and you have a citrus oil, get it out, smell it. You're going to get an effect.
So I only want to speak to Balance too, because I start my day with Balance on the bottom of my feet. I have a little table next to where I put my shoes on. And so before I put my socks and shoes on, that goes on the bottom of my feet just to ground me. And it smells amazing. So get on the bottom of my feet, breathe it in, and it's amazing. All right. So on the bottom left, you'll see a website. It's essentialemotions.com. If you are interested in knowing more and diving a little deeper into how essential oils can help you emotionally, that's a website you're going to want to go to. There's some resources that are essential. This is the Essential Emotions book, and it's one of my favorite books. I carry it with me all the time. There's a simplified version in a wheel, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, so but basically what this book is every single oil has an emotional component to it. So we'll just look at MetaPower since it's on there. So if you want to know how MetaPower can support you emotionally, just go to your book and look it up. It's the oil of body acceptance. And I can't find it here. I should have probably tagged this page. There we go. And so what the book does is it gives you an outline of what the essential oil will do for you. Like if you need this essential oil, or if you put this essential oil on, this is how it's going to improve how you're feeling. And then at the bottom, it tells you how you can use it. So it tells you how to use it aromatically, topically, or internally. And then it also gives you the ingredients. It will tell you the negative emotions that surround that. So if you're feeling those negative emotions, then you're going to want to use this oil. And then it also tells you the positive. So that's just one part of this book. So you can look up the individual oils and you can see how they work that way. Or let's say that you don't know what you need, but you know how you're feeling. You can go to a different section in the book and you can look up an emotion. So let's say that you want to ask yourself, what do I want to feel? All right. So Hayley turned the slide to ginger. Let's talk about this. This is the oil of empowerment. So these are the kinds of things that you'll see in the book. So let's say that I want to feel empowered. And so I look up empowered in the book. It tells me to go to ginger. It'll tell me what ginger is all about. It'll tell me how to use it. Okay. So I take the oil, I put it on, and you'd be amazed how your emotions will change based on what you need and by you giving your body what you need. Now, there's also another part to this book. This book's pretty cool. Let's say you have something going on and you really don't know what's going on, like maybe your shoulder hurts or something. You can look up shoulder in here, and then it'll take you to those essential oils. It'll kind of tell you, well, maybe this is going on. Anyway, it's pretty comprehensive and pretty in-depth. I absolutely love this book. In addition to that, and we'll go into this in just a minute. I think there's a slide down the road. When things are going on in our body, as Hayley mentioned previously, they will affect different parts of our body. And so all of these things that pile up and pile up and pile up, they'll eventually affect certain things. And like I said, maybe a hurt shoulder or something. And for us to overcome that, sometimes we have to release certain things. We have to release feelings. We have to release emotions. And there is a system that you can go through. And I'm happy to lead you. I'm an essential emotions coach, and we can walk through these series of steps using essential oils and looking at what's going on, and we can help release those feelings and those emotions. The book also has that in there. So it's got affirmations. It's pretty fascinating.
So Diane, I'm going to speak really quick to when I first was introduced to the emotions and essential oils, I was like, freaking no way. Like, this is the craziest stuff I've ever heard about. I'm not buying it. I've been raised on herbs. I get that, when you boil certain things, it helps with different things. But when the emotional part came up, I'm like, But let me tell you that as I was exploring essential oils, like 12 years ago, we have something called a Zytoscan, and people would come in and scan, and then they would read this emotional book and it would tie together. And they're like, how does it know? Like, how does this match that? And so naturally, you guys, the plants themselves are grown naturally to defend themselves for certain things, like things, bugs, and, you know, our environment and things that might harm them. And therefore it offers our bodies the same things from the plants. And what I ended up discovering is 99% of the time, people who scan are needing the oil for the emotional purpose, which then stores in our body in different places, which cause dis-ease over time. So, I mean, from the very beginning, we started talking about where things store, right? And different elements. And now that's where I go first. Like now it's like, okay, what's happening? Your neck is hurting and have you injured it? No. Okay, well, let's look at the emotional benefit or what's going on emotionally, and then we can put this thing together. So you guys, here's a snapshot of 3 different oils, and it kind of, I just did little summaries of what the book talks about, you know. So if you're feeling, gosh, like Melissa, right? If you're feeling hopelessness or dark or burdened, or gosh, I don't even want to be around. That goes back to that chart in the beginning of shame. And no matter what we've done, right? It's like, it's so far down. I don't know if anything's going to help. And what happens over time when you use this consistently, and we're talking smell it, put it onto your body where you need it, it actually changes the vibration, change those little molecules, change the message, and give us a different experience. So I want to speak to bergamot just for a second. It is the oil of self-acceptance. You guys, I listened to a class today, and I invited a lot of you guys to it, and it's on emotions. And this gal, Dr. Danielle Daniels, has been doing a lot of studies on bergamot with PTSD, with veterans that have gone through things, people, firefighters, people have really experienced a lot of traumatic experiences. And what she found is by taking bergamot and putting it into your hand and smelling it for, you know, 30 seconds at a time, every 4 to 6 hours, it completely changed the way that their body was showing up and how they emotionally felt. And over, you know, the first week or 10 days, they got great results, but over 30 days, the results were really, really impactful. So you guys, what I'm bearing to you guys right now is, for some, it may be, oh gosh, I'm not really sure about this. But I can tell you with experience, with over 10 years experience now, it is what I go to first. Like the smells and our emotions, the whole thing is real. Diane?
I'd like to speak to actually 2 of these. Bergamot, number 1. I want to share with you, as Hayley said, a great place to put it is to take it, breathe it in, but also another really good place to put it is on your solar plexus, because that's the core of our being. And so that's really, really good for self-acceptance. It's also a really good one. Let's say you're going to go for a job interview and you're, besides adaptive, you're going to want to put some bergamot there so that you have that self-assurance on that journey over there. But Melissa, the oil of light, I also wanted to speak to how to use Melissa in another way. So here's a bottle of Melissa. And if, let's say you're in a really dark space, or you know someone that's in a really dark space, take Melissa, tip the bottle over, just tip it over on your thumb and place it on the roof of your mouth for about 20 seconds. And it will help you to see that there is light out there. You won't be in such a dark place. I teach with a woman who lost her daughter, and this is a staple. She will not go a day without Melissa, because it helps her to remember that even though that was not that was a really, really hard time for her, there's still light out there.
So good.
All right. So if you want things to change, you got to do things. All right. So ask yourself, what do I want to feel more of? What do I want to feel less of? And find those oils that speak to you. And you'll find that over time, your taste will change. but you'll also go back to those staples. Like I still use the same oils I've been using since the beginning. Lavender is still one of my favorite calming oils. Pick oils that are pleasing to you and use them. Put them where you can use, where they're there so that they're handy and you're using them. You might also want to do some journaling, go outside, like we said, just, take a breath, pause, reflect, those kinds of things. All right, so here's a 15-minute morning routine, a couple of ideas of things you can do when you get up in the morning. As I mentioned, balance on the bottom of my feet, first thing. Pick from the ideas here. I love to keep a glass of water on my nightstand, and I always have citrus in it. Put some music on, listen to a podcast. Start your day on a positive note. And if it's not, get your oils out and get them on. At the bottom of the text there, you'll see some supplement supports. We're huge advocates of lifelong vitality. It is a no-brainer. You got to have it. Adaptive copibas, we didn't mention, but it's also very, very calming. The Serenity sleep system. MetaPower, got to have fiber and greens and protein. And then there's a list of essential oils that are just would give you some good emotional support. All right. And we will be remiss if we don't mention this. I don't know about you, but this is the only way that I buy my essential oils. And it is our loyalty rewards program, also known as an LRP. And so the way it works is super simple. doTERRA gives us money back on everything we spend if we spend a certain amount every month. And we have complete control over that. So we pick what goes in our cart, we pick the date, we can adjust it as necessary. And what it does is it increases the money you get back, or the points you get back that you can spend for product, increases by 5% every 3 months. And so like me, I've been doing doTERRA for many, many years. I automatically get 30% back in points, which is like the doTERRA dollars that I can use for free products every single month. I don't know about you, but where I shop, they don't give me 30% back, except doTERRA does. And you guys can take screenshots of that, excuse me. And if not, if it's confusing to you, talk to whoever invited you. Another thing on the far left-hand side, you'll see that when you order certain products, you can piggyback, I like to say piggyback them, other products for a discount. So some of those are our Lifelong Vitality and the MetaPower system. Those two particular systems, you can add the products that are down below that for an additional savings. So it's a win-win. All right, I'll let you jump in on this one.
All right, you guys, we want to thank you for spending the night with us, to take the time to, learn about our emotions, some of the simple things that we can do to change our outcome. If you guys are experiencing something that you don't like or that is uncomfortable, or maybe you have somebody who you know is grieving, simply teach them how easy it is to take an oil, smell it, and repeat. You have to be consistent. You have to use it in order to get a result. If you want to stay connected to us and get reminders of our classes, it's really easy. All you need to do is text the word class reminders to 534-429-5392, and you'll get a reminder about 15 to 30 minutes before class starts with the link. This, you guys, is an opportunity for everybody anywhere. It doesn't matter if you have an account or don't have an account or just getting introduced to doTERRA. We want to make it super simple. The other thing is, like I mentioned at the beginning, this class was being recorded and we'll be able to have access to it. So if you want to watch the replay, or you know somebody who would benefit from listening to the information you heard tonight, please reach out to the person who invited you and ask for the recording. And then lastly, we want to remind you that if you are earning that free gift, that free recipe book, all you need to do is text the word class and the topic to 534-429-5392, and within 24 hours of watching the class, and we will get you credit for that. Once you have attended all 8 classes, or 8 classes in total, we will be notified and we'll make sure you get your free recipe book. You guys, next week is our spa, aroma, touch, and symphony of sales class. So mark your calendars, put a reminder in there so that you can join us, so that you can learn and experience what all the different things that we have to offer you guys. Now we're actually going to open up for if there are any questions. I was not able to watch the chat at all because we're watching the classroom, but we would like to invite you, if you have any questions or if you have a testimonial, to go ahead and raise your hand and we can have you share that now. Everybody's quiet. Diane, if you want, I'm going to go through the
chat.
I'll the chat really quick if you want to share a testimonial or something.
Oh yeah, I have plenty of those. So Hayley mentioned she has a Zyto scan. I have what's called an Itovi scan, and it's just a little handheld device. Those of you that are here locally, if you ever want me to come scan you, it's pretty powerful. What it does is it will assess what's going on in your body and kind of tell you how what essential oils will best support you at that moment. As my daughter says, it rats you out, because when you read the descriptions on the emotion side, you go, how does it know this? How does it know I feel like this? But it's pretty powerful, and it's amazing how well you feel after you get those essential oils on. Sometimes my husband will come home and he'll just like, I look at him, he'll walk in the door and he's like, you need to scan me. And then, so we'll scan and I'll put oils on his feet and then it's all good. So love it. Love what they do for us. I love how they support us.
So much great information. And I think you guys, I think the bottom line is we don't have to continue going down the path that we thought was inevitable for us. We get to rewire and change the outcome. And I'm like first one to hold my hand up and say, you know, there was a time when I was like a broken mess. And there's been so many doors that have opened, not only from essential oils, but from the people who are using them and learning about them and sharing their knowledge about them. And you can change any outcome, and it can be so much better than you ever expected. I mean, I can't imagine one day without using essential oils. And I know there's been times when people are like, oh, here she comes, you know, or I bet you have an oil for that. And it's like, you bet I do, because I've seen what happens to people and what happens for people when they stay on the path. And can it be so simple? So I think that's one of the things that went through my head in the very beginning was, wait, just smelling an essential oil can change the outcome? Because we've been, I almost said programmed, but I'm going to rephrase the word too. We've been taught that, you know, when you have a problem, you go to the doctor and the doctor gives you something and then you take it till it's gone. And then what they don't talk about is the side effects. And fast forward to a generation of what we've been doing in the past is not working.
Yeah.
So it's time to
Yeah.
different.
Yeah. I've had people ask me, they're like, after we put them on and they'll say, wow, I can't believe it worked that fast.
Mhm.
You know? Yeah.
So I didn't really see very many, I didn't see any questions or anything like that. Julie, stop. Thank you so much for putting in Dr. Daniel Daniels' psychology dissertation for Bergamo. And we can go ahead and we'll add that to the recordings underneath so that you guys will have access to that. She's amazing. She has a few different books and things that she's done. You can also find her on social media, which I'll put a link up there. What I love about what's happening with doTERRA specifically is when we first started as a company, there was no scientific background because there was nobody was keeping track. There was nothing that was monitoring it. There was no nothing. And
Well, it
now
takes time.
we're 14 years old. And so now we do have scientific proof, and we are getting, you know, all these different studies and things like that. And, like our lavender is actually the only one that has been accepted as pharmaceutical grade,
Mhm.
which is super cool. And it's just the beginning of so many other things that are coming, you guys. So it is exciting. And of course, when we're teaching these classes, we are speaking specifically to doTERRA and the grade and the potency and the purity. So if you guys, one of our first classes in this series is, the testing and the CPTG and how important it is, that just because something says it's bergamot or something says it's lavender does not necessarily mean that it is essential oil to this grade that we're talking about, that you'll have the benefit. It is 100% pure, natural, tested grade essential oil that comes from the natural origin. So I'm going to just speak to tomatoes really quick. If you live in northeastern Nevada like I do, you know that if you get a ripe tomato before it goes rotten, you're lucky. And so if you take a tomato that has had dyes and colorings and different things to make it grow faster, it probably doesn't have the health benefits as a hot house or a, tomato that's been grown in great soil. So you look and you compare that into essential oils that we use. When they are grown in their natural origin, they are as full of nutrients and benefits as possible. So that's why doTERRA sources only from, certain places that doesn't have any kind of chemicals or GMOs or any of those things, even in the soil that the plant grows in, because we get maximum benefit from something that is full of nutrients. And so, fast forward into, in order for an essential oil on the market to be labeled pure essential, it only has to have 6% pure oil inside the bottle. 6%, which means the entire rest of the bottle can be filled with anything that they want to.
Yep.
So if we're speaking to emotions and physical ailments, and people say, oh, I tried lavender and it didn't help, I didn't notice anything. Well, then the first question out of my mouth is, what lavender did you choose? Because if it has 6% oil in the bottle, what were the other contaminants and things that changed the chemistry, which then changed the message in which we received?
That's right. So we did have a request. Dorothy asked me to show the book again. I showed a previous edition, Dorothy. So doTERRA, every year at convention, the new book comes out. So we're on the 12th edition now. So make sure that when you find it, you get the 12th edition. And like I said, every year at convention, a new Essential Emotions comes out so that it has the new oils in it, and then also the other resource books as well.
And I would just say, if you go to essentials or essentialemotions.com, you're going to buy it right from the source. And so
Right.
you're going to get that. And if you put, gosh, I might even have a code for a discount. I can't remember it. I'll put it in the chat somewhere, because
Yep.
I'm all about saving money.
Yes. So 12th edition.
Okay. Anybody else? Leslie, want to share anything? Ani, Kristen, we love seeing you guys here. Thank you for joining us. Okay. All right, you guys. So every Tuesday night we have revolving classes that come. We would love to have you join us anytime. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Diane, great class, especially a brand new class that you haven't seen really.
Yeah. Nothing like coming in cold. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Hayley.